Uh-oh, a lot going on here. Good evening and welcome. I don't. I guess what time do you call it at 2 in the morning? I guess you call it morning, right? Uh, Good morning to you. I hope that all is well. I set this up before I got started, and then as soon as you start, you still adjust like you aren't prepared. Anyway, Whitney Clark here. I am a write-in candidate for Detroit City Council, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the rebroadcast, we thank you so much for hanging out with us for a few moments. I'm not certain when exactly we do these reviews, if you will, but it appears as though somewhere around Sunday afternoon, we are we find ourselves looking at a number of stories and really just trying to make sense of it. The city of Detroit is such a fascinating place because whatever is going on in the city, it intensifies itself during the summer months because obviously the winters are extremely cold and people aren't out, and so it's a fascinating city and a fascinating time of year. I put it this way. I say it like this. The city planners or the organizers in the city of Detroit know that you've got about 3 months. I heard a podcaster saying this earlier. Shout out to the guys at Daily Detroit. I can give you a shout out because you guys gave me a shout out the other day on your broadcast. Thanks again. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys pretty soon. But also shout out to Eric Brown. I'll be on his podcast tomorrow. Reality Strikes. We're going to get into that and what we're going to hopefully delve into. And so shout out to him. I'll be with him tomorrow. But um, I was talking um, just about the idea that in the summer months, it appears as though we are all kind of playing catch up. Because like here, what's it? We're in July, June, July, August, September. I'd expect the weather to start dropping again in September, right? It's never around the time where the playoffs for the MLB are. Shout out to the Detroit Tigers. They're doing a great job. I think they're still, I have to look this up, maybe the number one team in the league. But I did see a post a few moments ago saying that their bullpen imploded. And then the final score was 8-4. So my assumption is that, there was a late, uh, you know, hemorrhaging of points. Um, but good. It's good. Detroit sports is really on the up and up and up. And then you got the WNBA coming. You got the big three. Man, this is a really great city. The opportunity is endless. There's a lot of endless opportunity in the city of Detroit right now. But it's still missing something. And I hate this because it feels like we're talking like philosophically or deeply, or like it feels like someone's talking to your neighbor. But in reality, we just need you. We need you. But process that though. You're a number of things. But one of the things that you are, just by virtue of being a citizen and hopefully a registered voter, is, I said, you're a change agent, man. And this is the time in our city where we can come together. I'm going to make the point that I was trying to make because I know I'm kind of going on these different tangents, but we're going to land the plane and talk about a couple of things specifically, just for those of you who are, following along with the mini rants. I want to let you know that we are going to be discussing Pastor Solomon Kinloch's pathway to victory, because I don't see it at this point. And I'm not saying that I don't see that he can win. I'm saying that I don't see the strategy that he seems to be um, using. That's all. And I'll put on my you know, political scientist hat for a moment and try to, obviously it'll be, you know, in large part speculation, but what I want to try to do is understand what his pathway to victory is, because the theory that I am developing is that he's a no-show. He hasn't shown up for the moments that I believe matter. Now, you say I. Well, who the heck are you? We're going to get into that as well. And so we're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about Kinloch. We're going to talk about the mother that lost her life, unfortunately, at McDonald's. You may or may not have heard about that. Young lady um, is said to have, you know, unalived her manager at Walmart that's here in uh, the outskirts of Detroit. I want to say it's like, you know, East Point. I want to say it's, you know, one of the close suburbs of Detroit. So much so that it's still kind of considered Detroit. Um, so I want to get into that, and I want to try to add the uh, objective perspective here. Of course, it's a very difficult thing to discuss because someone lost their life. A mother of six lost her life, and she's not even in the ground yet. She hasn't even had her funeral. And so I want to try to speak to it, um, and just react to it, I guess you can say. But I want to do so in a way that is sensitive to the fact that a mother, a sister, a daughter lost her life. But I also think, you know, there are maybe some other discussions that we can have about what took place. So let's just jump in. Kinloch and the McDonald's, and we'll probably, as is my custom, to go on a tangent here or there. We'll probably touch a couple of other issues, but those are the main issues that have brought us together today. Mr. Kinloch and the young lady who lost her life, unfortunately, at McDonald's last week as a result of a confrontation that resulted in, yeah, in someone losing their life. So unfortunate. But let me turn here to the to what's been going on in the city of Detroit. Another week of great um, political pageantry. Had a couple of different forums this week. Had a couple of different opportunities to talk to constituents, et cetera, et cetera. And I've got like six hats right now. Apple juice, by the way. I'm just trying to wet my whistle. Um, for those who are inquisitive. Um, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a business owner. I'm a licensed minister by vocation. I'm a minister of music. I'm a child advocate. I was raised by seniors, so I would consider myself a senior advocate. Mm, I don't want to go race and, and sexuality, but I am a black man, if you all are looking. And I'm a heterosexual man, hence the husband, father, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also a voter, and I would also kind of consider myself a, hey, a political scientist. I am. And most certainly, I understand why elections go the way that they go, and I contribute heavily to the pontification of who wins elections and the variables that end up or that have been the decision makers in the past. I am a historian of sorts that can recount those things uh, to kind of get an idea of where we're going and make sense of things. And so I don't want to get too deep into these whole blah 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 me, but I want to set the stage and get you to see that there are a number of different perspectives in which to take a look at this mayoral election. And the lens by which I'm going to be looking at this primarily is through this a politically scientific perspective. Excuse me. There are pathways to victory. There are methods to victory. There are strategies that one must use in order to win. I'm not gonna try to talk all deep here. I'm just gonna talk to you straight. Like, what is the way that you will win? Okay, as you see on the screen, Whitney Clark, write-in candidate for Detroit City Council, District 5. That's me, by the way. Whitney Clark for Detroit.com if you want more information. I'm going to let you behind the curtains for a moment. It's an early hour in the morning, and so let's have this candid conversation. My pathway in the City Council race, District 5, is door knocking, online presence, forums, because this is my first time running for office, and so there is an element to my name that, you know, I'm just unknown to the politically established. And so for me, it behooves me to participate in these random forums, which the constituent can be formed out pretty fast because it is a crash course in Detroit decorum. You thought I was going to say politics. It's a crash course in Detroit decorum, and there just isn't a lot of it, particularly when people are talking about things that they are passionate about. You know what I mean? And so I'm not demeaning Detroiters in that way. I'm not demeaning us. But what I'm saying is people are passionate. People are passionate about it. But anyway, what I'm saying, stay with me here. There are strategic pathways and things that I say will increase my name notoriety. Listen, I'm throwing some stuff out there because I'm a scientist and there are elements that must be in place in order for people to buy into you. And let me add this. We're not playing to our base. We're playing to people outside of our base. Winners play to people outside of their base. That's what it is. And you combine that now. I'm a constituent, but I'm also a politician. I've been in these rooms. They're almost some of the same people. And I don't want to talk over myself because if they're some of the same people, then why should he come to all of them? I get that. My position is that I haven't really seen Pastor Solomon Kinloch Jr. at any of the forums. And so I'm not against him. I am wearing today, in this moment, even though you clearly see at the bottom of my screen I'm a candidate, I'm wearing in this specific moment the hat that is most conducive for me to ask the question, what is your thought process? Where are you putting the energy into your race? And what has led you to believe that that is the place you should be putting your energy? Because the places that I've been, I haven't seen you. Now, here's the thing. Because context is everything. That's the thing, right? Context is everything. I'll give you an example, and then I'll get back to Pascal. I'm a married man. That's the context in which I live my life. And so, passionate love making first thing in the morning is a great man. It's a great thing. It's a great way to start a day. But if you're in jail, passionate morning sex probably isn't a great thing. You know what I mean? So context matters is my point for bringing it out. The context matters, and so I'm trying to understand what his what his what are you where are you putting your energy? Where are you putting it? And are you reaching outside of the people that are going to vote for you anyway? Because there is a growing demographic of people. Listen, these elections are won by people that can be won over. The people that are going to vote for Mary are going to vote for Mary. And I'm just saying Mary because all of the signs lead us to believe that she's going to be at least on the ballot, right? And so everybody that I've read rather, has pretty much reported that they're fighting for the second spot. So I don't. That's not an endorsement that I invoke her name. It's just I'm paying attention. So where are you going? Where are you putting your energy? And what is the process by which you have come to the conclusion that the places you are putting your energy are the places that will turn up good for you? Because, and we can go back and forth about this, but there are also reports that are saying that you're slipping. There are reports that are saying that at one point a month ago or so, you jumped to number two. I'm talking about Kinloch here, for those of you who are passing by. Pastor Kinloch, Detroit, Michigan, running for Detroit mayor of the city of Detroit, I should say. Fine gentleman, great pastor, man of integrity, husband, father, man of God. I've been to his churches, excuse me, his churches. Great person. Um, from the perspective of what I can see, I ain't never had coffee with the gentleman, but you get my point. I don't. I believe he'd be a. I believe he'd be a good mayor, and I think it's important for me to say that because that's what I think. Let me. Okay, so wait. Apple juice. Let me take a step back. Let's talk about so that I can establish myself as a scientist, as a political scientist. Let's talk about all of the candidates. Well, not all of them. Let's talk about the major candidates in the mayoral race, and then we'll talk about city council because it does not serve me to talk the entire time about the mayoral candidates when I've got a race of my own. So I'm gonna talk about my people. I'm gonna talk about my people that I'm leaning towards, that I like, so that you see that I'm fair, that I'm unbiased, and that I'm approaching this from the perspective that before you can be the mayor, you must be a candidate for mayor. Listen, listen. I want to see you go for it on fourth and short, but because before you can be a Super Bowl champion, you got to lay it all out there. You don't become a Super Bowl champion without running your trick plays. You don't do it without going for two here and there. You don't do it without kicking an onside kick. You don't do it without being willing to make a late game substitution to turn to a better hand because you believe this can get you over. You've got to throw it at the wall. And all I'm saying to this great gentleman is I haven't seen that. I haven't seen him throwing it at a wall. Okay. Because we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the race. And at this point, people should start saying what they see. I see Fred Durhal Great guy. For me, Fred's children don't go to the schools here, and I'm not I'm not asking to engage in a debate about this. We're coming up on the primary. It's decision making time. And with there being a lot of similarities with some of the candidates when we're talking about paper, what they look like, their resume, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I've been in the city council, I've been, career politician. Or Kinloch, which is why he's a noteworthy name because he is the guy. Listen, Kinloch's a guy. And what you want from your political commentators, from the candidates, from your talking heads, you want somebody that can call a spade a spade. I don't know why I'm drinking this apple juice like it's something more than apple juice. But the thing of it is, I just woke up not too long ago, and so I'm just kind of trying to keep the. But then everybody else is asleep. So, anywho, Kinloch is the type of candidate that I believe the powers that be might want the least. And that's why I'm an underdog guy. People that know me, unless it's my team, I don't root for the favorite. I never root for the favorite. I never. Listen to me. Ask my lady. I don't ever root for the favorite. I root for the upsetter. I root for the underdog. I root for the one that they don't want. You know what I mean? And so I make no apology for saying that at a moment in this election cycle, I wanted Kinloch. And I haven't voted yet. So I'm not saying that he can't win that back. And let me say this. Me articulating my disappointment is a good thing because we've still got time. And I want the person to win these races that is going to do the most with the platform. That's what I want. But we don't see Kinloch the way we should. Now, you're gonna say, like I was talking to my friend, I don't want to call him my friend, but I like him, and he's not a friend because I'm not his friend, but I just don't know him that well to call him a friend. Great guy. I'll be talking to him tomorrow. Eric Brown was mentioning, the fact that forums aren't that important, blah blah blah, this and that, and that's fine. Hey, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Um, but I also live in downtown Detroit. You know what I mean? I also live. I believe this is voting precinct, and I'm saying this so you can look it up. 125. Huh? I live in voting precinct 125, which has the highest turnout, probably in the city. Everyone in my precinct votes. Everyone. All of my neighbors vote. I have um the voter roll. I can see who's voted. I can see who voted absentee in 2018's primary election. Okay? My neighbors vote. And so if you weren't at the forums, you should have been on my neighborhood block. You should have. Let me tell you something. I've seen my opponents here. I saw Willie Burton in my lobby. So when I criticize the fact that Kinloch feels like a no-show, it's not the fact that I'm rooting against him or rooting for someone else. It's actually just the opposite. I am like many people in the city of Detroit who do not love how our neighborhoods look. Kinloch's messaging is opportunity, 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 turning the tide. And I don't know whether it is the fact that I'm a minister, he's a pastor, or the fact that he's just probably speaking from a sincere place. I believe him. So much so that I believe that Pastor Kinloch, like I said a moment ago, he's probably the candidate that they want the least. They being, whomever you think are the rich, bad people in this city, they don't want him. They don't want the pastor. You know what I mean? Who's not acquainted with this political game. Now, of course, politics and religion, you know what I mean? They ride shotgun with one another. But by and large, even to this point, we can see that Kinloch is not a friend of the establishment. You know what I mean? He's not a friend of the swamp. He's not. And I know that is a part of his platform, outsider, going straight to the people. He said that, going straight to the people. I'm not interested in kissing the rings of people that think they can talk. Listen, let me tell you something about Kinloch. I believe him. I believe him. I do. Nevertheless, before you are elected, you've got to be a candidate. And maybe he's just been a pastor for too long. Now at this very moment, I'm hoping that he sees this. And I'm not naive enough to think that, I'm a main character on his level just yet to where I can send this directly to him. But the criticism that I am voicing is not adversarial. It is rooted in the philosophy that you can win, Kinloch, but you've got to leave no stone unturned. This is not the time. And again, listen, let me say this. Heck, I ain't no well-established political voice. I'm not some David Axelrod. I'm not some, Olivia Pope or some type of person who you know for sure you can bank on my expertise or my perspective. I'm not saying that. But what I am is the exact voter. I'm going to come into this camera light a little bit more. I'm the antithesis of what you say you need here. I am a law-abiding, tax-paying, voting constituent. I have 2 children. Stay with me. Because again, I'm not a name that you would know. I'm not a face that you might recognize. Right? But in general, I am who you want here. Listen, if the city of Detroit comes back, it'll only be because families come back. That's the only thing that's going to bring the city back. I give this example. What makes a club a good club? Pretty women. Listen, if pretty women go and hang out on the street corner and you can set up a barricade and charge people to pass pass by that part of the sidewalk, that's a club. What what makes a thing is the people that are there. That's it. And so what brings the city of Detroit back are young families who respect the history and who are willing to check on their elderly neighbors while voting, working, starting their. I'm a business owner, huh? Taxpaying citizen. You know, uh, paying attention to what's going on. I'm who you want, right? Because watch this. Let's talk about it. If you know me, you know me. If I was white, you'd call me a gentrifier. Think about it. A white married couple, two children in the city of Detroit is a gentrifier. And so I'm saying all of that to say, even though I am not a Sam Riddle, shout out to Sam Riddle, I'm the type of person, listen to me, I'm the type of person, whereas if we're playing on the opposite team, I can still give you props. You know what I mean? A good shot is a good shot. Doesn't matter if it's on my team or not. I may not shout to the mountaintops. You know what I mean? I may wait till the election's over. But I call a spade a spade. I'm not, listen. But what I'm saying is that I'm who you want to be here. I have a 3-year-old. I am the person who has to decide what to do when it's time to send their children to school. So my perspective matters. Because if I was white and everybody like me was white, then you'd say the city was being gentrified. That's what you say. So during this time, I am what you would call the customer. And this is what you would call the 90s, where what? The customer is always right. I'm right. Because what I'm asking for is a system, structure, and city that is conducive for me staying. And what you are proclaiming is that you are going to produce a city that attracts and retains people like me, black, two-family households that are cognizant, aware, and mindful of the history of the city and want to help those who have been here while moving the city forward. That's who you want. And so, with all of that being said, if my perspective doesn't matter, you're not playing to win. I said what I said. If you're not playing to win me over, then you want to lose. You guess what happened? I just, let's just talk. It's 2 in the morning, almost 3 in the morning. Let's just have a conversation. Trump won because he talked to more people and listened to the perspectives and formulated a perspective and a platform that accentuated, that blew up the parts of himself that people said they wanted. And all I'm saying, Pastor Kinloch, with great respect to who you are and great respect to your campaign staff, you haven't reached me. You haven't reached the voter who is unbiased. Mm. You haven't reached me. I check my mail every day. You haven't mailed me. I'm a registered voter. You haven't called me. I've got a church in the neighborhood that matters. You haven't come to my church. I live in a community that has high voter turnout. I haven't seen you. And my position is not what it is because I'm rooting against you. It's actually because I'm rooting for you. I'm like, I can't call myself Tyra Banks. One, because she's beautiful. Two, because she's a millionaire. I haven't made my multi-million yet by God's grace. And three, she's just whatever. You know, you got to get 3 points, right? Pastors, for ministers, you got to get 3 points. Um, I said that to say I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you. We all rooted for you. And so my criticism with love and respect is not from a place of you ain't the guy. No, you are the guy. And I want this. I want, like, okay. Let me give you an example. My heart skipped a beat when Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers blew his Achilles in the first quarter. Why? Because every fan of playoff sports wants a 7-game series that comes down to the last possession. Everybody wants a game that comes down to the end where the two best players are going to be the ones that go head to head, right? And then in order for the winner to emerge, that person has to what? Do the trick play that I referred to. Call the onside, go above, create a play, like get a little luck. And with everything going on, it seems as though Kinloch has a name notoriety, has the money, has the platform, and the consistent messaging. Because when he talks, he's consistent. He's compelling. He's got the biggest he has one of the biggest churches in our country. It's at the bottom of the biggest countries. It's at the bottom of the biggest churches in the country, but he's on that list. I think the top 100, and this is the old list, but I think he was number 100. So I'm not, listen, listen, I fool with Kinloch. I want what's best for the city. You feel me? And I love his messaging. His messaging is, just so you know I'm listening, and I'm not listening with a adversarial ear, I'm going to create opportunities. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of what is going on in our neighborhoods is as a result of the fact that people don't really have opportunities. I've been listening to Kinloch. I want Kinloch to be that guy. Because if the best person wins, the city wins. I don't, again, we're mentioning Mary because the statistics and the powers that be and the poll takers say she's number one. So that's why I'm invoking her name. Mary ain't done nothing for me. You know what I mean? I don't have a reason. We didn't go to high school together. You know what I mean? I just want what's best for the city. And with the other variables that exist and that matter in an election cycle, you've got it going for yourself. But to the point that we just need downright effort and being everywhere. Like, okay, I've heard this before, and I know I'm looking at the bald head of Anton Daniels. Let me talk about Anton Daniels for a few seconds. He lives right up the street, by the way. Shout out to my guy. Um, he is a fascinating talking head. Love and respect the guy, and I agree on a lot of his talking points. I'm more so talking about like his strategy to success as you take a look at his analytics, you can see that one of his strategies is just bombardment. My brother, shout out to you. He's got like, I think I looked at his numbers the other day. I think he has like 30 videos a day. Like, how are you not going to go viral? How are you not going to be seen? How are people going to skip over you when you post 30 videos? You listen. If you click Anton once, he's like COVID. If you click on this man's video one time, you're done. He's a part of your family. Why? Because the algorithm, along with his work ethic, he's undeniable. And what I'm saying to you, Pastor Kinloch, or Sam Riddle, whoever can get the message to him, your name, notoriety, the nearly immaculate condition of your churches, your political messaging, when we hear it, I don't have much to criticize. And you're a man of the cloth, like me? Why would I criticize you? Why would I root against a married man of God? Come on. You're not showing up. You're not showing up in the places that matter. Because if you made the political calculus that forms are no good, then one, I think you're wrong. And two, then where are you? Because I am looking at Canada. I am downtown. I am where the voters are. And we still have not seen you. This has been a constructively critical positioning that I've taken on Pastor Kinloch. So, I'll reiterate one last time and then we'll move forward. I'll reiterate. If anybody can beat Mary, you can beat Mary. You can beat me. Listen, and I still haven't gotten to the other candidates. I think I talked about Fred for just a moment. But I don't know if Fred. I don't know if Fred's got that. Fred don't have political juice, first of all. He's a great guy. This is not about you, though. This is about your ability to demonstrate the qualities that we look for during election seasons. That's what this is about. Let me tell you about Fred. And I'm saying Fred loosely. Fred Durhall III, Councilman Fred Durhall III. I don't want to address our elected officials because once I get elected, I don't want you to call me Whitney. Call me Councilman Clark. And so I mean no disrespect by that, Brother Fred Durhall III, Councilman Fred Durhall. That's a lot, brother. And you got the third. Like, you got a long name. Councilman, hell. You know what I'm talking about. I like the guy. Good guy. You know, talk to him occasionally via text. Um, he don't got the juice, you know? Gotta have that juice. Gotta have that juice. Now let me say this. I'll say this. Because this is what I believe and this is what I feel. I would say, hear me closely. I would say at least all of the people that I have named and a couple of others that I have not named, which I'm about to, Todd Perkins, Chantel Jenkins, Joel Hashim, like Joel. My guy, John Barlow. Bless his heart. Um, Fred. All of these people should be a part of the next mayor's administration. So what I'm saying is that, obviously with the exception of Pastor Kinloch, because he's got such a flourishing, successful church, and he's not a politician, or a politically adjacent professional. Um, Durhal is a brilliant mind with great relationships. Miss Jenkins, I love how you feel when she talks. You feel, I've never felt like she's lying. I've never felt like she was pandering. I like her. When, I'm knocking doors. So I went and knocked on her door the other day. Didn't know I was, didn't know she was on my list. But I went knocking doors the other day. Spoke to her husband. I mean, what I'm saying is that all of these people have things about them that we need in our city government leadership. All of them. Have I said Todd Perkins? Todd is the one I'm rooting for. Todd is the one, as of today, that was good for me. I thought he would be a good idea. And so I like Todd. I like a married lawyer. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's got the family element, who's got the argumentative element, who has the legislative element. I think about all of that, and I like them all. So I guess what I'm saying is that all of the candidates have qualities or strengths that are going to be needed moving forward. And so I hope whoever wins, you know, unless somebody just kind of goes at their throat, uh, figuratively speaking, I hope that whoever wins employs some of these people, because in this process we've seen some great talent, some great perspectives, some great philosophy, and I think it'll be great. Um, Candidacy. Mary's got it all. Mary's got it all. As as it pertains to candidates, you can't touch her. And let me tell you why. And this isn't an endorsement. My endorsements mean a lot more. But I'm just talking facts at this point. We ain't talking about, listen, I ain't pulling for nobody at this point. I'm still a constituent who's just looking. Okay? She shows up, though. Look, stop playing with her. She shows up. And if you've ever waited for your dad to pick you up on a Friday evening, you know it don't matter what y'all do. Just show up. Mary shows up. And so there's so much more to this election than just showing up. That you shouldn't get an endorsement or support for just showing up. But if your opponents don't show up, then that's all you gotta do. And so what I'm saying is that although Pastor Kinloch is the person in this race that can change the trajectory of what we're talking about, the topic of discussion isn't going to move to the issues that are most important because you aren't there. Your political messaging, Pastor Kinloch, is what we need. We need someone who's going to be an advocate for the opportunities that we've been missing out on. But in order for that to come to fruition in this part of the election cycle, you've got to present your idea in a compelling way that moves the conversation, which then sets the stage for the way you intend to implement your platform and move your agenda forward. It starts with a narrative. Huh? It starts with, okay, the British are coming, 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 the British are coming. Grab this gun. Ooh, see that? Grab this gun is a big deal. Firing a firearm at someone is a huge deal. But it's not a big deal if I've told you repeatedly the British were coming and that your life was on the line. I've massaged your psyche to be prepared for what I am getting ready to implement. And so what I'm saying is that, Pastor Kinloch, even with the bold ideas that you are saying you want to bring forth, you've got to press them in the public space so that they become familiar with the psyche of the people. And you're not visible enough on the ground to change the conversation to a place that would get people to see that voting for you would be a better idea. I know people hate me. Apple juice. And the reason I say people hate me is because I have a position that I can articulate. I've got a position that I can articulate. We don't see you enough. And if this is the biggest election of our lifetime, if everything's on the stake, I mean, if everything is at stake, excuse me, then you leave no stone unturned. You do the forums and the neighborhoods. You do the virtual and in person. If this is it, see, that's the thing. Democrats said that democracy was on the line, but then chose the next person up. You know what I mean? This isn't about, the federal election or whatever. I don't want to get you upset. But my point is this. If you say the moment is urgent, react urgently. If you say the moment is urgent, then you've got to react urgently. And politically speaking, now, I've been talking for an hour at this point. You can throw out everything that I've said if he's been at the doors. But again, I've got a front door too that nobody's knocked on. So I'm asking the question, where are you putting your focus and emphasis? Because if you're putting it in the place where voters go to meet candidates, that's the forums. I don't see you. If you're putting it in the neighborhoods where people turn out to vote, then I haven't gotten anything at the door. Okay, I'm not going to go either of those routes. I'm going to go the podcast route. I've seen you on Bangladesh. I don't want to say his name wrong. I've seen you on a couple of podcasts. You know what I mean? And so I don't feel, and feelings can be misleading, I don't feel like Pastor Kinloch is making a play for me. Who are you? The person you say is going to fuel the comeback for our neighborhoods. You get that? Pastor Kinloch is not tailoring his political message to me. Who the hell do you think you are? The people that's going to bring Detroit back? That's who the hell I think I am. Husband, father, a parent that's committed to sending his kids to these schools, someone who is not even thinking about leaving, tax paying, law abiding, two family household, business owner, works at my church, volunteers in my community. If you're not playing to me, then who do you want? Who you want? Tell me. That's my point. That's my point. So if you are running for mayor and you want, if you're running for mayor of the city of Detroit, then you need young two family households to feel like you are the person that can bring to fruition the goals and aspirations that they are pursuing here in the city. That's who I am. You know? Like so many times we look for demographics or people or whatever, da 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 da, but we never actually get a chance to put our hand on a person. Like, have you ever talked to an immigrant from Ecuador, you know what I'm saying, who's coming up here? Like, have you ever talked to them? Have you put a camera on them and had a conversation? Have you ever talked to the person that you're looking for? I'm who you're looking for. I'm 36. I hope to live past 72. Lord, I hope to live past 72. I don't know how old I want to be. That's a dark question to ask. I'm just below the half point in my life. You want me here. And so if I don't feel engaged at this point, and on paper, I'm the person that you should be engaging, especially if you're saying you want to bring the city back the right way, I should have seen you more. And the only person that I've seen with consistent messaging and a presentation that I believe, or that I'm starting to believe, can take it all the way and bring it all together, other than you, I've seen her. You know what I mean? There are elements that every other, I want to, because I really want to really want to give you the proper context of what I'm saying, so you understand me clearly. There are a lot of variables that we look for in our candidates. A lot of them. What? I was talking to Jonathan Barlow. I did an interview with Jonathan Barlow the other day. I asked him if he was married. That has nothing to do with policy, but that's something that we look for in our candidates. There are a number of different variables that people are looking for, that the questions that they ask above and beyond the policy. And you can play to the voters who can see beyond that and who don't care about how you do it. We know that once you get there, you're going to be a good mayor, great mayor, etc. But those aren't the people who win you the race. Oh, I feel like I'm talking over myself now. Okay, let's change the subject. All I'm saying is that appeal to the people that you want to be here, right? And appeal to the people that are outside of the demographic that were going to vote for you anyway. Because in order to be one of the top two, the other person who is likely to be the top two is doing just that. Now, Mary ain't perfect. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Because you've been listening to me now talk for an hour, and you're starting to think that I think Mary's perfect. That ain't what I think, buddy. As a matter of fact, I don't think that at all. Elections is about who we have to choose from. Hmm? And elections are about who we need in the moment. Yeah. And with our apparatus being so weak, our schools and our, you know, ability to our housing market, the job market, with it being the way that it is, one person says we need structural change in the mayor's office. But there's an equally compelling argument to be made that we need a level of continuity, and that pulling the rug too abruptly from under the feet of those who have been establishing themselves in the city could be a bad thing. Let me tell you why. The people at the bottom of the totem pole feel the unintended consequences of action the most every time. And who's at the top of the totem pole, it doesn't matter. Like, so for example, the bottom of the totem pole is just the bottom of the totem pole. Totem. The bottom of the totem pole is just the bottom of the totem pole. So if the person at the top is a Republican doing stupid things, Democrats and Republicans are affected at the bottom of the totem pole. Does that make sense? If it's a Democrat at the top, a Democrat can't shield Democrats at the bottom of the totem pole, because at a certain place on the totem pole, and we don't know where it is, the left or the right, the rich or the poor, the white or the black, doesn't really matter if you're at the bottom of that pole. You're just going to get the unintended consequences. And so, I got a lot of different tangents working here, but what I'm saying, I want to bring this all together. Mary is the most complete candidate who is willing to go through the motions, even though being one of the front runners, subjecting yourself to a lot of. See, this is the thing about Mary that you gotta give her credit. Imagine being the front runner and participating in forums, discussions, and meetings that you may think are beneath you. Imagine being the person who you know without a doubt, or you feel without a doubt, is going to be on the ballot. Mary Sheffield could start campaigning on August the 6th, right? I mean, she's got all of the back, she's got the wind at her back. She don't have to be out here right now. And so, but she is, because she's leaving no stone unturned. And whoever ends up on that platform with her, we just want to ask that you give her your best shot. One, so that we can see how you're going to lead. The way that I am right now, calling it what it is, no matter who it is, that's the way I'm gonna be on city council. That's the way I'm gonna be. That, yeah, you're my mayor, but I don't agree. You're not my mayor, and I agree. That's the way I'm going to be. And if Pastor Kinloch is going to withdraw or be less enthused about engaging in certain situations because he thinks that they are beneath him, or because he believes that in order to get to the people, you've got to go through some gatekeepers, and you're not interested in going through gatekeepers, even though real people are on the other side of the gate, then you aren't a good enough candidate to be mayor. And we believe that you're a good enough person to be mayor, but in order to be mayor, you got to be a good candidate. Let's change the subject. I've been talking about it. I think I've spoken to my concerns. I think I've spoken to the place from which I'm coming. You see, it's not malicious. Hopefully, you see it's fair. I've given praise and criticism to all of the major parties involved. But if someone's going to beat Mary, as far as the experts are concerned, it's probably Kinloch. But in order for Kinloch to beat her, you've got to match her intensity. And my baby is intense. No, 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 no. Because as a man, let me talk about as a man, just me and who I am, my personal life. Showing up is half the battle. Show up. That's half of it. Showing up. And so the fact that she's shown up and her messaging has been consistent, it covers a multitude. Because what happens is if you're there, you get to challenge her. Let me tell you, I was in the forum the other day, and you may or may not have seen it on my YouTube, whatever, different platforms. I was challenging them. And when I challenged them, some of them folded, some of them responded in a way that, you know, was a little, was their response was what I wanted. It showed their frailty, it showed their weakness, it showed their inability to take criticism. And but I couldn't have done it if I wasn't there. And so again, showing up, showing up, showing up. Let's switch gears to the young lady who unfortunately lost her life at McDonald's last week. It's been a lot kind of being said. Now the intricate details of what was going on has not been released. So at this point, we're all kind of forced to speculate, which is, I don't know, good or bad, good and bad, right? Because we don't know what happened there, what we should probably start with is by going through what we know happens here in our own lives. Make sense? If we don't know what happened there, then maybe we can ask ourselves, well, what happens in my life, at my job? And where do I see myself in that scenario? Am I the boss? Am I the employee? Am I blah, blah, blah? My position is two things. I'm about to listen to a video from another content creator who was responding to a content creator. So it's like we're all regurgitating information here now. And I'm not sure that I'm going to let him speak as much as I'm going to let her speak. But Anton Daniels, the bald head I referred to earlier. Shout out to Anton. My position is that we must be sensitive to the life that was lost. But as we peek into our personal experiences, and I don't really have a lot of personal experiences with that, just because of what I do. But as far as what I've done, I've been bullied at work, without a doubt. You know, um, I don't think I've ever done. I haven't done. You know, I'm not really a bully at all. Actually, of course, somebody can make an argument somewhere. Oh, you said my mom was ugly. Well, she's ugly. Anyway, my point is, let me drill the point home. I'm gonna play a little piece of this video, and then we'll talk a little bit on the other end of this. Let's see what we got here.
My mama died trying to take care of us. No, your mom died bullying a little girl. Your mom died taking advantage of a little girl and taking advantage of her position. That's why your mom died.
Okay, bam. Exhibit 1. If someone, and this is what we, I don't know, I can't speak for the whole country, the whole world. It's so tricky. Because it's like me saying, don't be insensitive. But the insensitivity is the very reason that she made it to his timeline, which is the very reason she made it to my timeline. And so I want to get away from attacking the approach because it's like social media, you know what I mean? Like social media. In regular media, they create headlines that are intended to get you to stop and listen. And so it's media. I was going to ask her to be more sensitive, but it's like if she said it the right way, we probably would have kept scrolling. So let me speak to the heart of what she's saying. I think she's being insensitive, which was going to be the first point, but I'll concede it. And let's move forward. I got something else. I've saw a piece of this before, but I'll let her speak to it and I'll respond accurately.
I've seen a couple TikToks of that girl that killed that manager at the McDonald's. She had been posting TikToks before this happened, and she expressed her concern and how tired she was of
And then
this girl.
but what you're also doing by jumping into your soliloquy without and disclaimers are important. I've kind of come to realize that disclaimers are a thing. They're important. They are. You know, results may apply. I mean, may vary rather. Charges may apply. That's what I was thinking about saying. Disclaimers are important. And I'm no judge, I'm no juror. But for this particular instance, which is kind of alluding to what I was saying a moment ago, the first disclaimer is God rest her soul. Because it doesn't appear, based on the information that we have right now, that she deserved to die. She certainly didn't deserve to die. And so that disclaimer is important because that's still somebody's mom, Sister, daughter, girlfriend, husband, wife rather, you know what I mean? And so this young lady is technically a content creator, and I'm technically a content creator. And so let me challenge you, one content creator on social media to another content creator on social media. State your disclaimer. We're going to listen to your perspective. It's important. It's garnered our attention. But that's worth mentioning. Our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers go to the person who lost their life. That's important. That's a disclaimer that you should say, I think. Right? Because even as members of social media, it's upon us, it's our duty to establish and maintain the level of decorum even amongst ourselves. Listen, we've got social rules. It's not a law to look people in the face, but socially it's the respectful thing to do. It's not a law to ask a person how they're doing before you ask them to, bring me a latte. How you doing? May I have a latte? It's not a law. But we've established these rules, and obviously social media may just be something that's 10, 20, maybe years old. So we're still trying to establish the decorum. If we're talking about someone who's lost their life, you ought to send your condolences first. Make your point. I'm going to make probably a similar point. But ultimately, you want your point to be taken. And in order to do that, show some decency. Our hearts and prayers are with the family of this young lady, this woman who lost her life. You know what I mean? And so let's get back to that. And that's just, it's not me. It's not me. I guess it's part reaction, part um, mutual criticism. I'm not, the reaction can be like me looking down or whatever. But that element of what I'm saying is a media member to another media member. You know what I mean? Give that woman her condolences. You know? So I don't want to belabor that moment, but that was somebody's life, you know? And if there's a moment that's worth belaboring, certainly it has to be somewhere around the area of giving a human being their proper respects. If we're going to pull over for a moment and talk about something with decency, it ought to be the memory of other human beings. Bully or not, because I'm probably going to agree with your position, but the way that you have set the stage is insensitive to a life that was lost. Let me not belabor that. Let's get back into this.
Bullying her. This lady was harassing her. She was bullying her. She was
So you're
sending her home
suggesting
early every day.
you're suggesting that the punishment for harassment is murder. You know, and I don't want to keep harping. That's the same point, but it's just kind of like you're going into your argument, and your argument now leads us to believe that you can kill somebody if they bully you. It's like, no, quit. Go to a different place. Email corporate. Sue McDonald's for being a indifferent party in what's been happening to you. But you don't take the life of a mother. It don't matter if she ain't got no kids, actually. You don't do that. And since we are members of the media now, we got to speak to that. We got to say that. If someone's harassing you at your job, make documentation and sue them. That's all you got to do. When we begin to talk about physical encounters, and I'm a man who's got a measure of some type of, I'm not a violent person, you know that, but if I forgot to protect my family, you'll see some violence for damn sure. My point is, we got to get to a place where we talk about the stuff we can talk about. We go to court about the stuff we can. Why would I? Why would I kill you for harassment? That's a court issue. I'm gonna sue you if you're harassing me. You know. And so, as members of the media, we have to speak truth to that element. If someone is harassing you at work, don't hurt them. Document it. Sue them. Move forward. Quit the job. Find another job first, and then quit that one. Make documentation of it and hold them legally accountable for what you've done. Harassment is real. And I believe she was being harassed. You know why? Because I wasn't there. But I've been harassed by people who have had more power over me. It's not an crazy idea to think that this woman was, I'm talking about the alleged, the young lady who did the attack. It's not far-fetched to think she was harassed. She probably was harassed. But that's not the way you handle it. Neither is this. Let's see what she's saying.
She even went on her day off to make up for some hours. She's a manager. She's the one that has to approve for her to go on her day off to make up.
Speculation. If I was in court, I'd object. You're saying the manager, and I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't even know who this lady is and whatever. So I don't, no offense to you, but I'm just saying, why am I taking all this time to respond to your position? I don't even know who you are. But if there is a reason that I'm responding to this, it's because it's a sentiment that we are beginning to see emerge online. And so, although she isn't, some name recognizable person, her sentiment and her emotion is something that we're beginning to hear, and so we feel compelled to speak against it. I say the same thing as it pertains to the gentleman some years ago, probably about a year ago now, some time ago, who was assassinated by the Luigi character. Like, that's wrong. That's wrong. You know what I mean? That's wrong. And what he probably did or was a part of was wrong too, right? But is that the argument? Do we do we pursue justice by doing wrong ourselves? That's what this boils down to, right? You were harassed, which was wrong, and so I don't know. That's the way you handle it. You had a negative encounter with the insurance. We don't know what happened with the whole CEO of healthcare, blah blah blah. But the answer to the wrong that you believe that you've encountered was to do that. I'm not with you. Not with you. Not right. So let me just say this, and we'll wrap up here because I'm not going to take too much time talking about this. I'll say this: one, our psyche is broke. It's broken. There's something that has seeped into our culture, that has been baked into our culture, that causes us to handle conflict this way. That's what we need to address. The parts of our society that say this is the way we handle conflict. Because conflict is a part of life, right? But the way that we handle our conflict, it's just not healthy. It's just not. You know what I mean? And so that's what we need to address. And I'm almost done here. I want to say this, and it's so evident here in a city like Detroit, and quite frankly, pretty much anywhere that we are in the country and the world. Everybody's going through something. Many of us are wrestling with a number of things. And so be kind to people. And that in no way is directed at the young lady who lost her life. That's directed at all parties involved. See, because the same argument can be made if she was bullying the young lady, then that's as a result of what she's been going through. You know what I mean? And so my position is that grace should be applied across the board. Now the legal perspective of it, blah 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 blah. We can talk about the legal perspective. I ain't a lawyer, prosecutor, so you kill somebody, you're going to jail. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the court of public opinion. This lady's in the court of public opinion. We're all going through something. We're all wrestling with something. And this is a case with the limited insight that we have that appears as though this young lady was dealing with a number of different challenges and she overreacted to one of them as a result of what was going on in other aspects of her life. And so then someone ends up losing their life for no reason when you compare the consequence that the young lady, you know, she lost her life for what she was accused of. It's horrible. It's hard to hear, hard to see. And many people are going to fixate their attention. This young lady obviously is focused on the victim. Other parts of my timeline are only focused on how weird the girl was. My position is that we're all going through something. Be kind to people. Grant people grace. The bully has been through something. You don't like that, do you? See, because we like to crash out. The bully is the big boss that we like to crash out on and hurt and end. The bully's been through. The bully is raising 6 children by herself. And so we all need grace. We all need it. We all need grace. And to show compassion to people because you never know what they're going through. And as a result of things that are unrelated, they may respond to a very minute issue with you more drastically than anyone could have expected, not as a result of y'all's encounter, but because of what they're going through on the outside. And so I count it not a sin, even though this young lady has lost her life, even though this young lady has responded egregiously in a way that we don't think is justifiable, quite frankly, considering what we know and understand. No, not right. I feel in my spirit that the lesson that should and could be applied equally to all parties involved is show grace and know that we're all going through something and that, you know, and I don't say as in like it happens. It doesn't happen. This is a big deal. I don't want to say but because that's a conjunction. Let me just say this. We're wrestling with things. And I see it all the time, without a doubt. It's like, oh, that reaction, you did all that to me? Oh, that ain't me. You ain't mad at me. Have you ever been there? You've been there. Where it's like, you're talking to somebody or whatever, da, 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 and the topic of conversation clearly does not warrant a response that they're giving you. That's not me. You ain't mad at me. That anger or whatever, bitterness, frustration, anger, you brought that into the conversation. You didn't find that here as a result of what we're talking about. And so what I'm saying is that, people go through things. We all need an outlet. And so unfortunately, it seems as though this young lady used this experience as an outlet to do what she did. And so there's no justification. And we've already spoke to what you should do if you feel bullied. I'll say it again. Document it. Pursue legal litigation. That's what the bullied does. And unfortunately, we don't have the ability to speak to the young lady who lost her life. Um, but because I have been harassed by an employer before, personally, I can say, show grace to those you work with and around. And if you find yourself on the bullying end of it, document it and pursue legal litigation. If you find yourself on the bullying end where you hopefully have a spirit of a discerning spirit that can reflect after an encounter and say, I was too harsh. I was too rude. I didn't have to cuss. I didn't have to send her home. I took money off her table. Whatever your spiritual discernment calls for you to reflect upon. I'm calling on you to show more grace to people. Why? We're going through things. And at any moment, any of us could become combustible and find ourselves responding or over responding to a situation that may not call for the response that we're giving, but as a result of the fact that we need an outlet and we're dealing with other things, bam, this is the moment that I'm going to do it all. And did she do it? Unfortunately, God rest her soul, the young lady who lost her life. And, you know, people don't really have a lot of empathy for the victim. Well, unless you're this lady who's on the video. Uh, I lost the camera there. Sorry about that, you guys. My phone died over there. And we're almost done anyway. I just want to leave you with this. Be kind to people. Be kind. Kindness matters. And if you find yourself being bullied, um, document it. Pursue legal litigation. And if you find yourself running for mayor, show up. We are literally in that phase where we're trying to decide which way we're going to go. You know what I mean? Like when you meet a young lady on the street, you can't guess the moment that she decides to give you a shot. You don't know, like, it might be in your approach. She might talk to you for 5 minutes and then you say something within those 5 minutes that was like, oh, okay, I'll give her my number. Or she may string you along because she's got a couple of guys. She may string you along for 3 months before she decides to put you on the court. You know what I mean? You don't know. But voters, you know right now, this is the moment where undecided voters are trying to figure out who they're going to vote for. This is the moment. And so if you're not throwing everything at the wall right now, should you be defensive or upset or offended if people begin to conclude that you don't care? This is the moment. Come out, knock on the door, go above and beyond. Prove yourself, show yourself. Do it. WhitneyClark4Detroit.com. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this morning. I was about to say tonight. Hell, it's 3 in the morning. 4 in the morning. Lord, I'm about to go take another nap. Nevertheless,